Hello everyone, it's that time again for Varjak Paw. Now, when we'd left Varjak before, he'd had a near-death experience. He just escaped by these little whiskers from the metal monsters. So let's see what else is in store for Varjak Paw today. Let's have a little look. So we're in chapter 13 now. Goodness me, unlucky for some. Let's see. Varjak's head hung low. He could hear more monsters in the distance coming closer. He couldn't face looking at them. What was the point? He knew now they'd never stop and help him. Not in a million years. He failed to do the one and only thing he'd ever been trusted with. What good was he to anyone? Julius was right. He was no Mesopotamian blue and never would be. He was an insect. Worse than an insect. He was a disgrace to the name of Jalal. He failed. Varjak glanced at the hill, far away on the other side of the park. There was no way you could go back there, not without a dog. That meant he might never see home again. The kitchen full of china bowls, the Contessa's red velvet armchair, even the new toy mouse. Never again. He slunk into an alley that led away from the monsters, away from the hill, away from his memories of home. This alley was narrow and dark with the shadows of night. Oh gosh, Varjak picks his places, doesn't he? It was empty except for a swarm of black plastic rubbish bags so full that they'd split open. Ruined food seeped out of the bags like blood from a wound. The ground was slippery with scraps, soggy bread, slimy fruit, discarded and decaying in the dirt. Ugh. Somewhere in the distance, almost buried by these smells, was the tang of meat. Varjak's stomach grumbled. It had been so long since he'd eaten. He remembered insisting to Mother and Father that he wanted to hunt, like Jalal. He laughed bitterly at the memory. It was easy to talk about hunting, but to actually do it? Him, the coward who couldn't even stop a dog? Varjak, who disgraced his whole family, a hunter like his famous ancestor? No. An old scrap of meat was all he was good for, all he could get. Varjak followed the scent. His awareness led him along the alley and over a wall. He came down into the most desolate place he'd ever seen. It was an enclosed courtyard. The sky was hidden here. He'd lost the moon and stars. He could see nothing but big concrete tower blocks looming all around. Every door and window was shut, as if the people inside were trying to keep something out. This place made him nervous. The blocks would be impossible to climb. Their walls were smooth and sheer. If something went wrong, if there was trouble, he would easily be trapped. The only way out was the way he'd come in. Still, at least it was shadowy. There were plenty of places to hide, and it was quiet. All he could hear was the muffled rumbling of the city in the distance. The smell of meat was potent in this barren place. With grim precision, Varjak tracked it to a metal bin that clanked in the corner, helpless on its side in a murky pool of rain. Something brushed against his shoulder. Varjak gasped, ducked, swung round. What was it? No one there. Just a rustling sound. A plastic bag caught by the wind was circling him, as if it was the hunter and he was the prey. He let out his breath, told himself not to be so nervous, and turned back to the bin. The smell of meat wasn't quite so nice close up. It was rancid, rotten. That was why he'd picked it up from so far away. Oh, his nose wrinkled. This wasn't how he'd imagined life outside. If only he could have a bowl of the gentleman's caviar now. But this was all he deserved. Varjak moved towards the bin, and the world erupted into violence. Out of the shadows, those perfect hiding places, 5 fully grown tomcats sprang. Not one of them wore a collar. Varjak put up his clawed paws to defend himself. They were too fast. Oh my gosh. In a vicious blur of speed, they slammed him into the ground and pinned him there. Oh, goodness. The biggest, a massive, muscly ginger Tom towered over him. Oh, it ripped his cheek with his claws as sharp and white as lightning. Varjak howled with the pain. These are our bins, Sonny, yelled the ginger, and don't forget it. Oh my God, poor Varjak. He's only getting a bit of meat. Varjak wrenched a paw free and lashed back. He caught the ginger full in the face. It didn't budge, didn't even flinch, just opened its jaws and spat at him. The other cats poured down on him, a deadly rain of claws and teeth. Varjak screamed. It was agony. What do you know about the vanishings? Demanded the ginger. It was as big as a gentleman's cat's. What vanishings? Gasped Varjak. Don't pretend. Claws raked across Varjak's side. Bony paws pummeled his head. He clenched his eyes tight and curled into a ball. Off in the distance he could hear a siren wailing. This was it. This was the end. He was going to die alone in this lifeless concrete place, and no one would ever know. A sense of relief washed through him. He was glad it was over. He didn't want to live anymore. He didn't deserve to live. Not after what he'd let everyone down. Already it seemed very far away, like it was happening to someone else. His body felt cold and weightless. As if from a great height, through a curtain of pain, he could hear voices talking. He wondered vaguely whose they were. Leave him alone, Ginger, a gravelly voice. Well, look who he is. Friend of yours, is he, Holly? Leave him. He doesn't know anything. Ha! He'll learn. Something crunched into Varjak's ribs. Purple pain seared through his body and faded into black. Oh no. You're going to have to read the next chapter. I've got to find out what happens. Chapter 14. Down in the darkness, Varjak dreamed. He was walking by the river in Mesopotamia. Date palms swayed in the warm breeze. The night air smelled of cinnamon. Jalal walked beside him. Jalal, I thought I'd never see you again. Why cinnamon? Said Jalal as if he hadn't heard. Cinnamon? Perhaps you've noticed the smell all around us. Now follow me and be silent. Jalal led him down the riverbank towards a group of men. They were sitting around a campfire cooking food in a sizzling pan. The most wonderful smell in the world came out of that pan. It was toasty, warm and cinnamony, and it drove Varjak wild. His nostrils twitched, his mouth drawled. He was starving. A couple of fat, sluggish cats circled the fire. One of the men tossed them something from the pan. Varjak beamed at Jalal. Obviously they were going to join them. He was going to get some of that delicious-smelling food. Jalal shook his head. Those are not true cats. They have forgotten how to hunt. They are scavengers trapped here by their own greed. They have become slaves to the people. They might as well be dead already. Oh, Varjak blushed with shame, remembering that scrap of rancid meat he'd wanted so badly in the city. But what if you're hungry and there's nothing else? He said. Jalal's eyes blazed amber like the rising sun. A cat is an idea of freedom made flesh, he said fiercely. It cannot be tied down. To be truly alive, it must be free, and a free cat hunts. It never scavenges or depends on the kindness of people. It depends only on itself. Varjak looked down at the ground. He wished it would swallow him up. I've failed, Jalal. I've failed you. I've failed everyone. It is no failure to make a mistake, my son. What matters is whether you can learn from it. Varjak looked up. The old cat was smiling at him. It was like a ray of sunlight in the night. I want to learn how to hunt, Jalal. Then learn you shall. I will restore the knowledge that has been lost. I will teach you hunting, for it is the third skill. Now show me your awareness. Track down that chirping noise you heard when last you were here. Varjak pricked up his ears, determined not to fail again. The noise came from the river bank. With his sensitive whiskers, he probed the air currents that carried the sound until he'd pinned down its source precisely. Crickets, he said, 4, hidden behind that clump of reeds. Correct, Jalal glided towards the reeds. Varjak marvelled at the way he moved. He was stealth itself. When you stalk your prey, whispered Jalal, you become your prey. You make it a part of yourself. Breathe like it breathes. Think like it thinks. When you and the prey are one, you will know its every movement, and then you will move first. This is the secret of the third skill, and why it is done best alone. Try it. The crickets chirped on behind the long reeds as Varjak and Jalal crept up to them. Varjak selected his target. He sat stock still, waiting, watching, letting all his awareness flow into the cricket. Every time it shifted, his senses went with it, tracking its speed, trajectory, vectors. He took it all in, as if there was nothing else in the world, as if even he didn't exist anymore. The crickets stirred. They sensed they were being watched. They were about to move. Varjak knew it with absolute certainty. His leg tensed like steel springs, tight, until the right moment came. He uncoiled into the air, claws slid out smoothly, pinning the prey, forcing it down to the ground. He opened his jaws, prepared to sink his teeth. Enough! Enough! Jalal was shouting. Varjak released the stunned cricket. What had he done wrong now? Jalal took a deep breath. It was a splendid attack. You have the third skill, but this is only practice. You were going to kill it. It was just a cricket, and we are just cats. Remember, you may cause harm only when there is no alternative, only when your life is at stake. You take enough and no more. That is the way the world is made. I'm sorry, Jalal, said Varjak, tail between his legs. I didn't know. And why did you settle for one cricket? It wouldn't feed a mouse. No one could catch more than one at a time. Oh no, Jalal grinned. Varjak looked down at his ancestor's paws. The other 3 crickets were right there, wriggling on the ground. Now pay attention, said Jalal. This is how it is done.